Got it.
Yes. Yeah, Katrina Guillou, you are playing for Piteå IF in the Damallsvenskan in Sweden. You're in second position right now in the race for the gold and for the Champions League. Welcome to this talk.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'd like to talk a little bit about you, about how your way to professional soccer. And what I saw on the internet is that you sort of come from a place called Fort Washington, which is quite close to Washington, D.C.
Yeah, it's about some miles away. My mom actually works in Washington, D.C. Without the traffic, maybe 25-minute drive. With the traffic, turns into like 2 hours.
Okay. How was it like growing up there? It's a small town. Do you, as a kid, go you often to Washington D.C. or are you more staying in your?
Actually, funny enough, after middle school and everything, all my club soccer and high school was in Virginia. So instead of being on the DC, Maryland side, I would usually cross the bridge over early morning, get to school. So most of my experiences have been in that state,
Well,
but grew up in Maryland.
okay. Well, when did that start? That you started playing soccer, and how did you get to soccer?
So my mom says I started playing at the age of 3. I actually still have my very first pair of
Hmm.
cleats and shin guards, so they're pretty small, like even smaller than my hand, and I'm a small person to begin with. But I have two older brothers who've also played and still play a little bit now, and I just kind of always wanted to be doing what they were doing. So I think I was bugging her maybe a little too much to play with them. So she ended up walking to my middle brother, up to his coach and asking if I could play with them. And he was a little bit stern, but kind of like, okay, if she can follow directions, like she's more than welcome to start joining us. So
Hmm.
that was pretty much it. Just had to listen to what he said. So we still have pictures from way back then where I'm kind of just standing, like holding onto his shirt, just waiting for him to give me instructions, and then I'll go run around.
That must have been the time when the women's soccer in the United States had its first real upswing because 99, you were 6 years old in 99,
Yeah,
and the US
sounds
won
sick.
the World Cup in 1999. Must have been a great upswing for the first great upswing for women's football.
Yeah, funny though, we I never really watched that many women's games. I know it's probably not good to say, but it's the truth. We mostly watched a lot of Premier League, so that's kind of what I was familiar with. But we did start seeing like more commercials and stuff like slowly start happening. So I think that was really cool. But still having most of my background, like watching men play, watching my brothers play, it was kind of like I want to do what they did, just the little sister and me, like I want to do everything my brothers were doing. And yeah.
And at what age did your family realize that you are going further than just playing in your free time and putting all your efforts into this?
I think if you talk to my mom, she was pretty confident. She knew if it was something that I wanted to do, she would give me the most amount of support that she really could. My brothers were always there for me too. Even my grandparents, they would be driving me to practice, like out in Virginia, I think, just to get to my high school, maybe 30-45 minutes. And then we had to drive an additional like hour and a half into Virginia for those practices. So all of them, once they knew it was something I wanted, there were maybe some touch and go spots around high school where I think I had a talk with her. And even maybe after, I was like, maybe something happened. And I was just like, I don't think I want to do it. And she was like, if you're really ready to like put away all that effort that you've put in so far. But I think in the end, I'm kind of glad I stuck with it.
And then you went after high school, you went to Wilmington, North Carolina, which is at the Atlantic Ocean. I checked it out today. And how did you get there? I talked to some American players earlier, and then they sort of some of them get scouted from colleges. How did it happen for you that you get to that just to that college in North
Yeah,
Carolina?
so actually, the coach was the assistant coach at the time, Melissa Barnes. She came and watched one of our tournaments. I think we might have been in Florida, and she was telling me when looking back on it now, she could remember like calling the head coach and just being like, "Hey, I found this little player," kind of thing. But I didn't even know they were there. But I kind of once I found out, maybe put all my eggs in that one basket, and it just turned out it was like the perfect fit for me, not just looking at it as a soccer aspect, but also outside the city, just the culture that they had there. Because, of course, like it would have been nice to go to a bigger school, but on the off chance, like if soccer wasn't there, would I still be happy going to these bigger schools? And I think just taking a holistic approach to it, Wilmington really fit, and the coaching staff really felt good with them.
It's on the map. It looks very beautiful. So it must be.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is.
it was nice. I think my visit, it was after also maybe a Florida tournament. Before I had committed, we were touring it, and they were filming an episode of One Tree Hill, which is pretty popular back in
Okay.
the States. So got to hop out of the golf cart, say hi to a few of them, and I was like, okay, this is nice. A big filming city.
But then you were away for like 350, 400 miles from home, and after your college time, you went overseas directly to Finland, to northern Finland.
Yeah, I missed my graduation, didn't walk down the aisle
Hmm.
for college. So that was maybe a big milestone I missed out on. But after signing the contract, the team and I discussed it, and they needed me to already go out there. So that's what I did. Didn't really look back too much.
But how did you end up in northern Finland? Oulu. This is so probably most Americans have never heard about this town.
Yeah, I was probably one of them at the time. But it turns out it was just a nice connection that we had. We played against, I think I want to say it was Richmond, for college soccer, and the coach actually had a great connection with the coaches we had at my school at the time. And he's actually Finnish too, so he's pretty familiar with the club. We made highlight reels kind of thing for my 4 years there, passed it all along, and they were interested. So that's how that started. That's how the journey started, really.
Was that like a culture shock and also a climate shock to come to northern Finland because it's pretty cold up there sometimes?
Yes, I think more so just the culture shock. I feel like in the US, and especially being in Virginia and DC, everything is like very much American style,
Hmm.
where it's go, go, go. Like this needs to be done, then we got to move and like keep on going. Where as soon as I got to Finland, everything was like way more relaxed,
Hmm.
taking your time, kind of just easing into things. And of course, they are nicer. I'm not going to hide it. I think Europeans in general are a little bit nicer than Americans,
I mean, that's what
or just the people I've met so far.
that's what a couple of players I talked to many years ago. Kristen Press was in Sweden, and she also
Yeah.
said that she had such a lot of press and stress also in the
Mm.
United States playing there, and then when she came to Sweden, she sort of could start breathing again.
Yeah. Take a deep breath and just relax. And there's always time.
Hmm.
There's enough time in the day to get everything done.
What kind of team was that in Oulu in Finland?
uh,
Was it a
it
Finnish
was
team and you were like the only foreigner, or were there?
no, my first year we definitely there was one other American, and then we had the I think it was the old Chinese national team goalkeeper. So it
Hmm.
was just us three, and then the rest were Finnish. But the team was actually pretty welcoming, just like every other team I've joined so far. They would help me learn some Finnish. All I can maybe remember now is some numbers, but it was interesting language to learn, I would
It's
say.
really difficult. Yeah, the grammar is very difficult.
Yeah, I
It's almost.
didn't even bother touching the writing and grammar and all that, but it was just speaking. But I got enough of the soccer terms down when I was there, so that was really helpful. And the
Mhm.
girls were also pretty good at English too, so I think it helped a little bit.
That was like in 2016 when you came over to Finland. And
Yes.
then when I read your Wikipedia article,
Hmm.
it says it doesn't says anything about Switzerland, but I found a couple of photos about Switzerland as well on your Instagram. So you
Yeah.
had a short while in Switzerland as well?
Yep. So I moved in the middle of the Finnish season and went directly to Switzerland during the window. And I was there for the rest of that season. But again, great experience. I was playing for Lugano, another competitive league. It was another experience from being in Finland, we had an Italian coach, but he was more intense and very tactical in his thinking and a lot of energy. So that was another adjustment. But it was, yeah,
Switzerland is a very expensive country, isn't it?
it was very expensive. A
Everything.
lot of things getting imported. We
Mm.
were right at the bottom of the mountain. So, but it's all a great experience nonetheless. So I was happy.
Yeah, it must be a great landscape down there in
Oh my God,
Switzerland with the
yeah.
Alps and
Experiencing
everything.
all 4 seasons. I actually learned how to snowboard for the first time on the Swiss Alps. So that
I
made for
think
a
yeah,
good
I
time.
think I saw some pictures of you in the snow.
Yep, it was nice.
So that's a great life that you're living, isn't it?
Yeah, there are times though I do miss home. I think the older I'm getting, the more
Hmm.
I'm kind of like, it would be nice to have a longer break at home. But then I feel like in the reverse, usually teams are like, okay, no, we want you back sooner. So I'm like, my time at home shrinks, but I think that's making me miss it even more now.
That's what I was thinking about when I prepared a little bit for this talk. That you're not alone. Many others, and you don't have much things that you carry around with you. You move from the U.S. to Finland to Switzerland to Sweden, and within
Yeah.
Sweden, you don't have much stuff that you own that you carry around with you, don't you?
Yeah. I think each year I learn there's less and less that I need, but oddly enough, this has now been my third season here in PTO where I'm looking around and I'm like, I've accumulated a lot of things in 3 years. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, you came to Morön after being in Switzerland and
Finland for the second time. Then I came
Finland.
to.
Yeah, okay.
Mhm. Yeah,
So how about
but
Moore? That was a great team. I mean, I think maybe I've seen you at Hammarby once because I remember I talked to Haley Dowd after one of these games, and
yeah,
Moore was a great team, wasn't it?
it was. It was definitely something special, and I think a great first few years for me in Sweden. I remember speaking to the manager, Ola, nothing but great things to say, but I kind of ended my time in Finland a little rough. I had to get surgery on my knee there before coming back
Hmm.
home. But they watched enough of the games and they saw enough of me where they trusted me even after the surgery. So I think that was really great. And by the time my rehab had finished, they were ready for me to come over right before the season started. So that was, it felt good having that much trust from a team and from the manager and everyone. So it made me feel good coming into it.
And then unfortunately the team almost folded, wasn't it? That they had
Yes.
problems with the
Yeah.
economy and
Yeah,
um,
especially with COVID that had
mm.
gone on. It's definitely not easy for women's clubs. And then having something added on top of that, it proved a little bit difficult. But yeah.
That was your second club in the north, and then you went to another club in the north. And we have to tell every listener outside Scandinavia that this is really far up north. I mean, if you look at what is it, the latitude? Is it the latitude?
Yeah.
That it's almost it's Alaska. You are on the same.
Yeah. And it's kind of funny because I don't really necessarily like the cold that much, but I keep finding myself back in northern parts of countries. But it's an experience, I guess. Maybe I'll like it more after all of this.
To tell me a little bit about that team, because I really heard in 2018 they won the championship. That was before you came to Piteå, of course. But then they sort of lost a lot of players. But now
Mm.
you're back as a team, very, very strong. And I heard that the coach Stellan Karlsson says that don't focus on the next game. We just focus on the next training. Is that true? Next
Yeah,
practice.
that's pretty much it. Each week and each day we have a game plan set for that day, and that's kind of what we're just keeping our eye on. And then by the end of the week, it's kind of just bringing everything we've learned from each day all together to go into that next game coming up. But yeah, it's been a great experience. I don't know how else to describe it. It's kind of surreal. Of course, like you said, it was a little bit difficult my first year, but we also had how many new players. And I think the great thing about it is each year after that, we've had a little more stay each time. So we are building more chemistry. We are being a cohesive unit. And right now, I think it's proving that we're not just a team that's going to roll over when we play. We're going to give it our all and we're preparing for each game just as well. And like you said, each day we're just focused on that day. We're not looking too far ahead because we know anything can happen in any game in this league. And I think just looking at the results for this season alone, it's shown that.
I mean, nobody expected Piteå to be up there in second position after 11 rounds.
I think
everybody
no
expected
one but
Rosengård.
Piteå expected that.
You expected it.
I mean, I wouldn't say I expected it, but
No.
I had high hopes, especially going even after the first season coming back. There were glimpses of moments in each game where we're like, okay, we have this. And then unfortunately, it came down to the last 10, 15 minutes where we kind of slipped away. But then you look at my second season here, I think we did a little bit better. And then we had more players coming back who were there from the previous season. So I think just having enough chemistry to also build off of, I think that's really helped. And of course, like going into every game, we're thinking like we are going to win. We want to win. So just looking at how much effort we've put into it, I think we trusted ourselves, and that's all we can keep doing and just playing each game to the best of our ability.
Yeah, that's just amazing. I think how and also beautiful to see that you don't need a lot of money to perform that well.
Yeah. I think we've definitely made well use of what we have, even from our staff, like you said, the money, but I think we're taking advantage of everything we have right now. We're making it work for us, and that's really good to see.
How is it to live in Piteå? I mean, I've been there a couple of years ago, and I talked to Stephanie Labbe, who was the goalkeeper at that time.
Right.
And she said to live and to play here is like being you're a little celebrity in town when you walk around town.
It is nice. There are a lot of people who kind of stop and try to chit chat with me, but I think, like she said, it does feel like that, but it also feels like a family. You kind of get to know everyone. Everyone's saying hello, whether you know them personally or not. So I think that kind of makes you feel more welcomed and more at ease.
And what are you doing besides playing soccer or football when you have free time, and
That's a good question. I do like to just kind of relax. Big soccer fan, so I watch a lot of games, obviously. I do enjoy some walks around the city, especially when there's no snow on the ground. That makes it nice. So hopefully it starts warming up here because it's been cold, but yeah, doing a lot of that. I like to read. I'm reading a few books right now. One's actually a soccer book, so that's kind of fun. But I'm also a little bit of a nerd, so I play some video games, chat with friends and family back at home, but just staying busy. Yeah.
what stuff are you reading? I'm also an avid reader.
Right now on my table, I have Expected Goals over there.
Okay.
I just finished The Maid and the Night in the Moon, but I think I have another book lying around somewhere, but that'll be the next one.
You mean The Maid, the thriller, The Maid?
Yeah, the one by Nita Prost.
Yes, I read that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
I liked it. I think someone was saying it was a movie.
Yeah, it will be a movie. I think it will be a movie. She signed a contract.
Okay. Will be. Okay.
Yes, absolutely. We must talk about the World Cup because you are not only American. I think you're a triple citizen, aren't you? You are French,
Yes. I have my
Philippine, and
certificate.
American.
Yes, I have my French birth certificate, just not the passport. But yeah, Filipino also from my mom's side.
And you might be, I don't know, how are your chances to play the World Cup in this summer?
Hopefully pretty good after how well our team is doing. But of course, it's more than just my say. It's a whole coaching staff and federation that have to choose the best group to bring there. So, but I'm crossing my fingers. You never know.
How did you come to the Philippine national team? I mean, you said your mother has a connection to the Philippines apparently, but
yeah.
How did you get into that team, and how often have you been there to?
So actually everything is pretty new for me. I remember I was making like a highlight video, and I was just, of course, posting it everywhere. And then I think I came across one of their pages, and I actually sent it to them. And I was like, why not? You never know. But at the time, it was still when I was working on my French citizenship. So I was like, oh, maybe it'll be too difficult. But fast forward over a few years now, and last year, kind of more connections, or the year before the last, they reached back out and they were like, yeah, if you want, because I gave them the story how my mom was also born there. They immigrated to the US, so it's pretty strong. And then I still have family over there right now. But they were saying if I can fill out all the paperwork, they would be interested. And I was kind of thinking, I was like, I don't really have enough time right now to be flying all the way over there in the off season, especially with COVID that
Hmm.
was freshly starting and not too many people knew about. So that would have proved a big challenge. But I think with everything that changed, I was able to do it while I was in the US. So that actually helped. So I started the process while I was in Sweden towards the end of the season. And then lucky enough, they were having a camp um, right in California. So basically, right at the end of my
Hmm.
first season with Piteå, flew straight to California, got sick, unfortunately, but still was there for the rest of their camp, then had to go home for a little bit. And I guess I did enough to prove my worth. And my first tournament with the national team was actually in India last year, where we ended up qualifying for the World Cup.
And you played against Thailand. That was your first game, and it
Yeah,
was, yeah, it was like a historical win for the Philippines because they never
yeah,
beat Thailand before.
exactly.
Mm.
The first win in history, so that felt good. We finished highest in the history for the Philippines in our group stage, and then also making it the furthest we ever have. So a lot of first it was last year for the national team, so it was a great experience.
What do you know about women's soccer over there? Is there any kind of league, or how do they play? I saw that some of the players are really spread all over the world. They're all over the world.
Mm,
There's another girl in Kalmar, I think, in the Swedish
yep.
league, and some are still in the United States and elsewhere.
Yeah. Of course, they were also hit pretty hard with COVID, so that kind of put a long pause to everything. But now with it coming back, they do have a league there. I think we have two players that are playing in it there, but we also have some that are in college over in the Philippines. But it is growing. It is still kind of in the grassroots phase, but it's great to see after everything that we've done that it's bringing more attention to it. So there are more little girls getting more active with it. So that's great to see just the impact that we've had.
That must be a real make your career even more spicy, so to speak. That you have this national team now that you're playing for, and that you're probably I cross my fingers that you probably are going to play in New Zealand
Yeah.
against New
That,
Zealand in the same
yeah.
group. Mm.
I think that'll be a great experience, hopefully, if everything works out, because we've also played them once in the US. So that was also a pretty tight game. I think we ended up losing 2-1 on a PK,
Mm.
but I think going into half we were leading 1-0. So pretty promising. And we've also played a lot of top countries around the world. So I think just having more experience now versus what we did a year ago, it's a
I,
good
ta
feeling.
I talked to Anna Taminen, the goalkeeper from Hammarby, a few weeks ago, and I asked her, has football or soccer taught you anything that you probably wouldn't have learned without playing soccer?
Mm.
What would you say for you? Is there anything that you probably wouldn't have realized or learned if you wouldn't be part of the game?
I think just the experiences that I've gained throughout it. Like you said, I've lived in Finland, Switzerland, now in Sweden, just having those connections and being able to learn and pick up new cultures and experiences and see how the other part of the world kind of lives, and then bringing that back home to the US. And then also the relationships, really.
Hmm.
Like you never know, someone knows someone, and it kind of just all works out. And then you're still learning something new because they're bringing something new to the table, you know?
Yeah, that's in your story. I mean, what you said, the network. I mean, when you was like scouted, and then somebody knew a coach there, and somebody knew
Exactly.
somebody there, and then suddenly you're in Finland.
Yeah.
So that's really a great thing about football. But how do you see yourself in 10, like in 10 years? I mean, you're still very young, but like in 10 or 15 years, will you do you want to continue with being on the other side of football? I mean, working for foot you have because you studied sports medicine in
I did. So
North
towards
Carolina, sorry.
the early on in my career, when I had enough time and I was home for maybe
Mhm.
3, 4 months at a time, I would work in a PT office full time for those short spans. And I really enjoyed that. I think it would be fun to maybe do a little more with athletes because I did do more with the older population. So I think to be closer to people who did what I did and kind of
Mhm.
people who have helped me throughout my years, being able to do that, it's definitely something that I'm kind of keeping my eye on, maybe going back to school when I'm done with everything.
Mhm. You don't want to be a coach.
I think I would be too intense.
Okay.
I think sometimes I'm a little too direct.
Mm.
So maybe if it was older group of girls, I think I could do it. But for the younger ones, I think I'm better off just cheering from the sidelines.
It's like Brianna Campos, I think is her name. She played for Umeå, and now she's
Mm,
an assistant coach at BK Häcken in the
yeah.
Swedish league. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think definitely being able to do it with a higher level would be great. I know I've had some friends doing some coaching license, so that could be something to look into. I know they've said nothing but great things about it and their
Mhm.
experience, so definitely interested.
Well, Katrina, thank you very much. It was very interesting talking to you about, and I hope that everything works out well, that Piteå is going to qualify for the Champions League and that you are going to play in New Zealand in just a few weeks. And
Thank you.
have a great trip over there. Have a
Thank
nice
you.
time. Thanks.